good evening.
Hello.
Hello, how are y'all? We hope well. Awesome. I know you can't say I'm doing good, but we're gonna go ahead and imagine you went, I'm doing great. And I'm like,
That's what I imagine.
yeah, and I'm like, cool, us too.
Well, we hope you've had a great week.
We've had a really blessed week.
We have had a blessed week. We even got to have lunch with the grandbaby today.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, it's always a good thing. Always a good thing. He's a joy and a light to our life, isn't he, honey?
Yes.
That's right.
He really is. Well, we are going to jump right into our lesson.
Mm.
We are on lesson 33, Amends.
Amends.
Amends part 2.
Part D.
Yes. Do you remember what principle we're on?
We're on amends part 2.
No, what principle? There's 8 principles. What principle are we on?
I don't know. Principle 6. I am very tired today. Forgive me.
It's okay. We have made it to principle number 6 out of 8. It is evaluate all of my relationships, offer forgiveness to those who have hurt me, and make amends for harm I've done to others, except when to do so would harm them or others. Do you want to read our scriptural truths?
I'd love to. Happy are the merciful, Matthew 5 and 7. Happy are the peacemakers, Matthew 5 and 9. Do to others as you would have them do to you, Luke 6 and 31. Excuse me.
That's good.
Of course, we know those first two are part of the Beatitudes.
Yep, the Sermon on the Mount.
And we know that most of what we do here is about the Beatitudes. Because he says, happy are those, and happy are those, does he not?
He does.
So we're talking about making amends today, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yes, remember last lesson we talked about, offering forgiveness to those who have hurt you and making amends to people who you have hurt or harmed yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough thing to do.
Yes.
It really is, but Jesus can help you.
Swallow a lot of pride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very important for your recovery and just for your maturity.
Yeah.
And spiritual growth.
Man, the weight that's lifted whenever you seek forgiveness for something you've done wrong it's an amazing feeling.
It is.
I mean, it's hard, but it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well, today we're going to talk about making amends to yourself.
What did it say? The first, go ahead and flip that over. Our principle 6 is evaluate all my relationships and offer forgiveness to those who have hurt me and make amends for harm I've done to others, except when to do so would harm them or others. And evaluate all my relationships. Would you not say that you have a relationship with self?
Yes.
Self is an important relationship, isn't it?
It is a very important relationship.
It's important that if we're making amends, and self is an important relationship, and we have evaluated our relationship with ourself, to offer ourself what?
Amends.
Forgiveness. Forgiveness.
Absolutely.
Unforgiveness will eat you up, especially for yourself. I mean, it's bad when you have unforgiveness for others, but it is detrimental to your growth when you have it for yourself.
Mm-hmm. The best bit of advice that I could give to young people, any people, but especially to young people, is you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. And sometimes people will make you never forget your mistakes.
Yes.
Will keep beating you down with your mistakes.
That happens a lot.
Don't listen to them.
Yeah.
Don't listen to them. You are allowed to overcome your mistakes.
Sure.
I mean, we make our mistakes for a reason, so that we learn from them, so that we grow and mature from them, so we know what we do think is acceptable, what we don't think is acceptable, what we're willing to do, what we're not willing to do. It's important. It's important to make mistakes, but it's way more important for you to forgive yourself for your mistakes.
Yes.
And move past them and learn from them.
Well, we it says do unto others as we'd have done unto ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
How do you talk to yourself? Just think about that. And I don't mean, a lot of people, I don't talk to everybody talks to themselves. And we're usually very critical of ourselves, are we not?
Yeah.
I mean, the hardest person on self is,
Self.
yeah. Have you ever just sit around and do something or say something, you're like, gosh, you're stupid. Man, I'm a loser. I can't believe. Okay, would you keep a friend if they talk to you like that?
Probably not.
Why?
Because they would just keep dragging me down all the time and making me feel bad about myself. And
Huh.
I would have way more fun by myself than with a friend like that.
When you say that dragging you down, you'd feel bad about yourself. So would you say if it's dragging you down, you could never get what?
Up.
Yeah,
Over it.
right. So if we're evaluating relationships and we wouldn't hang out with people that would talk to us like that, then why in the world are you talking to yourself that way?
Right.
It's time to forgive yourself. It's time to say, you know what, self, we've made a few mistakes. I'll give you that. But I forgive you. You know what I mean? And I'm going to forgive myself. So I don't sit here and rot in this same old mistake that I made over and over and over. And that way when them people come at you and tell you, I don't know what you did, you're like, yeah, I know what I did. And I know what I did about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I made amends to what I've done wrong. And I'm making amends to myself.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Well, there's an example in the Bible that we could look at that talks about a man who made some pretty big mistakes and then later overcame them, and that is Peter.
Right.
Peter was a rough and tumble fisherman.
Yep.
He was one of Jesus' disciples.
Man of action.
He's a man of action. He loved Jesus so much.
Passionately.
But when Jesus was arrested and taken into custody, Peter denied that he knew Jesus 3 different times. He denied him. That was a pretty big mistake.
Yeah.
Especially to do that to someone that you love.
Right. And when he just told him, I'd go into death with you. I'll die with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll die for you. He just said that. And Jesus told him, I'll tell you this day,
Mm-hmm.
that before the cock crows twice, you will deny me.
3 times. Yep, and he did. So that was a pretty big mistake. But later on, after Jesus was resurrected, after he died and was resurrected, Jesus came to Peter and the other disciples, and he restored him.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Peter was able to forgive himself. Jesus had already forgiven him, so Peter was able to forgive himself. And then, you know what? Jesus used Peter to preach the gospel to tons of people.
It's an interesting story about, we're always talking about taking an evaluation of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
An inventory. And going through those things, it's important to look inside yourself and address all those things that you've got unforgiveness with yourself about.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, get right down to it, because how many times did Peter deny Jesus?
3.
How many times did he ask him if he loved him? 3. It's very important to see that he knew, I have failed you very big, in a huge way, and 3 times I denied you. So he knew that Peter was going to take that so hard.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, Peter, do you love me? What did Peter say? Yes.
No, I do.
And then he looked at him again and said, Peter, do you love me?
Yes.
Then feed my sheep. Peter, do you love me?
You know all things, Lord.
Yeah. So, you got to know at this point, he's like, of course I do. You've asked me 3 times. But what? The reason he asked him 3 times is he was offering him forgiveness and an amends for all 3.
Yes.
He's saying, you denied me 3 times, but you said you love me. Right here, 3 times. Then let's go. He said, okay, I've forgiven you. But the problem wasn't that Jesus needed to forgive him. What was the problem?
He needed to forgive himself.
That was the problem.
Yeah.
Because he folded up and went back to the boat, did he not?
Mm-hmm.
Found him right there where he found him before.
Mm-hmm.
And he was beating himself up. And so Jesus already had forgiven him. But he was offering him amends with himself 3 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Do you love me? Yes. Do you love me? Yes. Do you love me? You know I love you. Okay, well, let's get over it now and just let's go feed them sheep. That's important.
It is important.
Because when you make amends, And forgive yourself. Move on. Let it go. It's okay.
You'd be surprised the amount of things that you can accomplish in your life if you quit letting yourself hold you back by just regret of the mistakes that you've made.
Preach on.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. It's true. Because it becomes an anchor. You know, the way you talk to yourself can determine how you perceive the world and things around you and how you perceive yourself. So if you walk around and go, I'm a loser and I can't do none of this and I can't do that, guess what? You can't. Because you're already defeated. If you say you can't, you probably can't. But if you say you can, you can. So if you just walk around, I'm a loser, I can't do nothing right, I hate myself. Well, that's pretty pitiful. I wouldn't want to have a friend like you if it's the friend you are to yourself. But say, hey, Jesus loved me. He died for me. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Remember that? It's an old Saturday Night Live deal there. I'm good enough, and I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Well, just get up in the morning and say, I'm going to own this. I'm awesome. Hey, that is not conceited. That is, I like me. You know, I've said that to several people. You know, you're a good guy. I said, well, I like me. And I do like myself. I think I'm a good person. I have tried very hard, but there's been times in my life I've had to forgive myself and let things go. But if I didn't like myself, it's really hard to expect anybody else to. You know? This is good stuff. So making amends to yourself. There is one deal here I wanted to... I'm going to go ahead and look at the top of my bald head. When was the last time you encouraged someone? So that's what we're going to ask ourselves today. When was the last time you encouraged yourself? Huh? Sometimes I just have to encourage myself in the Lord.
Yep.
Do you not?
Yes.
Sometimes I can't depend on everybody around me to encourage me always. Because they're carrying a lot of baggage too. You know, and it's not their responsibility to walk around and go, oh, he's down again. Hey, you're the greatest. Right. Sometimes I just have to go, Lord, I thank you that I'm not what I was. I thank you that I'm not where I used to be. I thank you that you've given me good character and love and forgiveness. And then start just praising him. You know, why do we praise? To break those strongholds, that we put God over our problems. We put God over those situations. You know, I'm not who I was, being remade. I am new. We start talking about who we are, not who we were.
Right.
Who we were is irrelevant to who we are now. We learn from those mistakes. We're moving forward. So, how have you encouraged yourself this week? How do you encourage yourself? Do you even encourage yourself? Or do you just only discourage yourself? What's the most powerful way to encourage yourself?
I don't know.
You know I was going to throw these
I didn't
curveballs
know
at
you
you.
was going to ask me this question.
Yeah, so what is the most powerful way to encourage yourself?
I think for me it is agreeing with the truth of what God says about me. To me, that's the most powerful way to encourage myself, is to know what he says about me and agree with it. Because it's all good things.
It's all good things, and then we can also praise. We can say good things to ourselves. That's important. I don't care what anybody says. I don't walk around saying I am horrible at fixing bows. Heck no. You are to... What's my password on everything that I have?
I can't tell you.
I know.
You can't say it.
I know. But anyway, my username.
He's very good at fixing bows.
I'm just saying.
Very awesome at it.
But I'm not bragging as much as I'm not looking for you to go, golly, he's conceited. I'm looking to tell myself that you're good enough and you're good at what you're doing. You're smart and people love you, and I love people. And I speak well. You know what I mean? Just start going down the list of the things that you are. When I was doing my inventory, my wife come along and she wrote a whole sheet of paper out of everything that I am.
Good things.
good things
Positive
that I
things.
am, that's positive. That's important to keep that balance, to speak well into your life, to speak good into your life, because you are those things. I am, or I say, so therefore I am. Speak good about yourself. Be a friend to yourself. That's not wrong. Anyway, I guess we're at the end of this lesson. My wife so gently pushed it over here. No.
It's time to
It's
read
time.
the Serenity Prayer.
Well, I get passionate about that. So.
It's good.
Anyway, we'll bring her to a close. We're going to pray. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen.
Amen.
Encourage yourself this week. It's not wrong. It's not conceited. It's whatever anybody may have told you or what you may think. It's not conceited. It's okay to say, I'm good enough, and I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. I'm pretty awesome.
You sure are.
Well, you are too.
Well, thank you.
But it's okay. It's okay to say those things.
Yeah.
Be a friend to yourself this week.
Absolutely.
Be a friend to yourself. Forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you're going to mess up. You're human. But forgive yourself. Make amends. Say, self, sorry about that bonehead thing we did. It's okay, self. We're good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a great week, and next lesson we're going to dig a little deeper into forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. So join us.
Love you guys.
Good night.
Ew. Smile.